Welcome to the PDX files. Each week we dive into the weird and the unexplained here in the Pacific Northwest and beyond. My name is Peej.
And I'm Mac.
Mac, what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're going to be talking about the not the 10 most haunted necessarily, or in ranked order. It is in this video. Well, actually, it's not really ranked in this video. It's just 10 places that are haunted in Oregon and have a really good story.
Excellent. I'm glad we're bringing it back to Oregon for this particular episode. So once, as usual, we will be reacting to a video that Mac found, and hopefully you'll find it as interesting as we do, and we'll dive on in.
The Oregon Vortex, Gold Hill.
Very sexy
The
place.
Oregon Vortex was first made famous in 1929 by English engineer John Lister, who noticed strange anomalies in the magnetic field surrounding the area.
We're going to have to look into that one.
He personally believed that the energies of the vortex went as far as to warp the fabric of time and space. Tourists now flock to see the strange anomalies, such as height changing in different locations within the vortex,
That's Michael Jackson kind of stuff.
Changes in gravitational pulls.
Yeah, Scream.
But aside from
the Scream
these
video comes
interesting
in
occurrences, many visitors claim to have seen the ghost of Lister inside the old House of Mystery. Guests have asked tour guides who the man leaning on the wall ahead of the group was, and when they turned to look, he would have vanished. Whether the vortex is authentic or not, it seems old Lister may still be fondly looking over his little tourist attraction.
I mean, I got to admit, I've kind of wanted to go to that place. I just never really made the time. I mean, I'm almost 50 and I still haven't made the time yet. But seeing this particular clip makes me want to go there. It looks pretty damn cool. Just beyond if there's actually any kind of like haunted stuff.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Yeah, I mean the haunted stuff for sure. It would be interesting. It's kind of funny that we're not doing a good job of like promoting Oregon here by like being. I wonder, like, because I'm thinking, okay, would the I mean, I'm no longer a child, like you said. We're both adults, and so it'd be interesting if we'd actually will find it interesting once we're there. You know what I mean? Like, or if it would be a little goofy.
I mean, we are adults and we're not adults, but yeah, I would think that beyond that, I think it would be kind of cool to see, just because it is kind of one of those areas in Oregon that's pretty well known. But just looking at that house, like why are these people doing? There must be something. It's like a fun house effect kind of.
Yeah, it's very.
It looks
fun
like
house.
it'd just be fun in general to go there to go check it out.
Well, go take Jackson there and then let me know how it goes. Because me as an adult, it might not be a priority for me.
Yeah, you gotta do some adulting.
All right, here we go.
Number 2.
Now, I have stayed
Geyser
here a couple
Grand
times,
Hotel,
but by the way,
Baker City.
It's a beautiful hotel.
This luxury hotel was built in 1889
What about luxury nowadays?
and received a restoration in the 1990s. Often claimed to be Baker City's most haunted building, many strange things are said to occur here. It has been frequently claimed that one can hear parties on the 3rd floor with laughter, chatter, and even clinking glasses. Oftentimes, guests will
Residual
even call
haunting.
down to the front desk to complain, and when they send an employee up to check, the source can never be found. Other times, guests have even claimed to see apparitions of partygoers in turn-of-the-century clothing peeking down from the balcony above. But perhaps the most well-known haunting is the Lady in Blue. Countless guests have seen her walking up and down the grand staircase in her long, elegant gown. Some speculate that she was perhaps a former owner, while others tell of a woman who hung herself after her cowboy boyfriend was shot.
Okay, so my mom was in like an English major, and so no one is hung. A photo was hung. A person is hanged. Okay, so she hanged herself. But beyond that,
You're like in a vocabulary correcting mode right now.
I'm in that right now, but and I noticed this earlier in the video. It's like that just because my mom, if I would have said that, she would have like been all over me. Like, don't say that's not the right way of saying it. Yeah, I've been there before. There are some interesting spots, and I've stayed in a couple of different rooms in that hotel just because we've been to Baker City, and they thought that the Geyser Grand was like just. I thought it was a pretty cool place. It's really nice, and people should actually go visit.
Wait, how
Baker
far is
City.
it from Portland?
Oh, it's like a 6-hour drive.
Oh,
Basically,
geez.
it's like forever. But it's worth it when you get there because there's all sorts of really cool stuff around the area. A lot of Oregon Trail related stuff. Not Oregon Trail, but mining lore and places. So and there's ghost towns around there as well.
Mhm.
So, but I've stayed there I think 3 times. I've not noticed anything. And believe me, I was looking for it, trying to see, but the stories and the lore of the location. I remember the last time I was there was like many years ago, but I even asked some of the people, it's like, hey, you've noticed? And I'm like, yeah, we've noticed stuff here before. And it
Sure.
wasn't like they were joking around. They weren't on camera. They were like, yeah, we've seen some things or heard some things. It seems like there's maybe a couple different types of hauntings going on at this location. If you just listen to that the clip right there, there is residual haunting and perhaps an intelligent haunting there as well, right? So
Yeah. It's harkening back to a previous video of ours where we talked about the different kinds of paranormal terminology.
yep.
But you said you've stayed there 3 times, so all 3 times you've never felt anything at all. You said, but did the environment at all just kind of just give it a creepy feel, or was it just historical?
I think it was more historical for me. I mean, there was an area. I've been down to the basement part of that place. It is, but I mean, every basement's kind of creepy, right? I mean,
Sure,
it's
yeah.
not, but it's not like a real basement. Like, again, she said luxury hotel. It's luxury and old Western style kind of thing going on,
Yeah.
right? But hearing from some of the staff and being down there, I can see why you could get kind of freaked out. And some of the stories are kind of iconic for that area. But you know, I would say that it's more likely that there is probably residual type haunting going there,
Sure.
and so I actually kind of believe that.
Yeah. Until you see the blue lady, and then
Yeah, well, she didn't hung herself, but yeah. Anyway,
all right, we'll continue here.
Number 3. Lafayette Cemetery,
I never heard of this before.
Lafayette. Back in
I
the
don't even know where
year
Lafayette
of
is.
1800, a woman who was
It
accused
sounds
of
New
witchcraft
Orleans,
was
ish.
hung by the townfolk.
Hung again.
Her dying words were a curse upon the town, stating that it would burn to the ground 3 times. Since then, the town has burned down twice. Whether a skeptic or not, many folks can't help but wonder if a 3rd time may still be coming. Not only did the woman curse the town, but many believe she also haunts the cemetery. People have claimed to see her drifting about in the shadows, occasionally screaming at visitors,
It looks like
and
Sarah
even
C.
chasing them while cackling wildly.
Sure,
Even
sure,
stranger,
appreciate that.
many have claimed to have been physically attacked by the spirit, revealing razor-like cuts across their backs. Some even retaining scars from the encounter. Eventually, after such a large number of reported attacks, the town resorted to permanently closing the cemetery, barring the gates, and posting a no trespassing sign.
That's pretty messed up. I mean, I've been to many cemeteries. I went down earlier this year. I went down and saw the tombstone just outside of. I'm sorry, the cemetery just outside of Tombstone, which had a lot of famous people in it. I think it's kind of fun to go to those kind of things, and actually Portland has a number of really interesting cemeteries that you can go check out.
Yep.
I've never felt weirded out by cemeteries. I don't know how accurate this story is. The whole scratching thing, I have seen that happen in other investigations or in other situations that I've been in. Not to that level though. I mean, that's like really kind of messed up. I don't know if that was like a raccoon or that the guy got attacked by or what, but I don't know. I mean, I think, the fact that they closed it down and say no, it could be one of two things. Either there's too many people going in there causing trouble trying to do paranormal stuff, or there actually is maybe a danger there, which is kind of interesting. I mean, that type of stuff looked kind of demonic almost.
Right, yeah, or just really rough sex, and then they're blaming it on ghosts. But
Right.
so I just did a quick Google search. So Lafayette Cemetery is in Dayton, Oregon. Do you know where that is?
Is that around Salem?
Let me see here. It
Eugene?
is, kind of like it looks like it's west of Woodburn, north of Salem, type of thing.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like wine country.
It's about an hour's drive from Portland.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. I've never heard of that as being a haunted place before, but listening to that clip is pretty interesting. And we did have a cameo by Sarah C.
All right. Let's continue here.
In State Hospital, Salem.
A lot of shit going around Salem.
Built in the 1800s to be a general hospital, as the years passed, it slowly became primarily filled with those suffering from insanity. The hospital was greatly overcrowded, and many of the mentally ill were terribly abused and kept in horrible conditions. Many patients died here, and it's no wonder a dark feeling looms. Underneath the hospital is a series of complex tunnels connecting the buildings. It was claimed to be for transporting the more dangerous patients. However, disturbing evidence suggests that the underground space might have been used to conduct strange experiments unknown to those above. People who visit claim to hear footsteps and wailing echo throughout the corridors, and doors will even open and close themselves. Interestingly enough, this tragic location was actually used in the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Ah, that's an interesting kind of aside there. But, I would have loved to have had the opportunity to do an investigation there, because I think hospitals definitely kind of have that little extra factor of like some shit has gone down, right? And I used to have a job where I would go deliver medical equipment to different hospitals around the area, and this is a long time ago. But the morgue at the Providence Hospital in Northeast Portland and Gleason, is one, and not just the morgue, but the entire basement is one of the most. There's a hallway sort of connecting everything there as well. Is insane. It's like really creepy, and I never felt safe down there, because it's like there's dirt. There's like there's just like earth around it. It's like on one side there's earth, and the other side there's like office space and morgues. And it's. I mean, at least it was back when I was there. They didn't like have any drywall covering any of that stuff. It was really weird.
That is strange.
It was, and again, that'd be kind of a cool place to go invest. I think any hospital, you just sort of think about the amount of like, even if you don't believe in ghosts, but the amount of psychic energy, like emotion, and things and tragedy that have happened in those locations. I can totally see this place being probably one of the most haunted places in Oregon, especially when you take into account the mental illness factor of it. Now, when we were doing investigations, we never did a hospital, but we did do. I think there was a like an old folks home. There was like didn't we do one of those before?
We did. We did like you said, an old folks home. It'd been closed for like 20 years when we did the investigation.
So weird. That place was definitely not comfortable, and I don't think we found anything out of it as far as I remember. But I think I definitely don't remember feeling very safe, and it's not just because it's dark.
I think it's dark. Obviously, when we do the investigation, all the lights are out. We travel via in basically just infrared cameras and or whatever lighting that we have just in front of us. But I think it's the long hallways. I mean, like even with the the underground tunnels and whatnot, it's just the long hallways. Just it's very unnerving,
Yeah, it
you know,
is. Yeah,
because
because you can
because
hear
there's
your
no
steps, right?
yeah
And then if you hear some
yeah.
other steps, it's like, oh shit. Yeah,
And I mean,
it's definitely
and
weird.
obviously, like I mean, for me, I can only see without my glasses. I wouldn't be able to see more than 6 feet, in front of me, and so, so you add that uncertainty of a dark long hallway, to the mix. Forget about it. And
Yep.
it's something about old mental hospital. Well, first of all, mental hospitals in general, but the mental hospitals from way back when, they just had
Fucked
probably
up places,
they,
man.
they were fucked up. I mean, I think they deserved the reputation that they have, of just being a place where the doctors and or the medical staff performed experiments, hopefully with the purpose of advancing science. But I think, some of
Yeah.
those pictures when they show people smiling while somebody's in bed. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
I
that's
saw that. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
don't think that's
obviously
real. Yeah.
no,
I mean,
that's a staged photo, but
yeah.
it just adds to the creepiness, and it adds to the kind of like the, I don't know, just the inherent evil that exists in mental institutions, because at the end of the day, those people, the patients there, they don't have they can't protect themselves.
No, there wasn't any kind of like woke mindset with these people. They were trying to put them away for a reason. Just look at the Kennedys; they kind of had something like this as well. I can't remember that it was not an Ethel, but one of the Kennedys was kind of like mentally retarded,
Yeah, yeah,
and they
yeah.
basically like shunned her and put her into like a mental institution. And so, how many of these things happen? How much abuse occurred in these places? That's what I'm saying. That seems like a prime area for uh, intelligent haunting and um,
Residual.
residual haunting. And
Yeah.
maybe, I mean, it sort of depends. I mean, I guess a demon would need to have more interaction with people, but I definitely would not want to do that. I wouldn't want to walk through those hallways alone. Let me just say that.
Yeah, and in the case of the wait, what did you say, Providence Hospital?
Yeah, Providence. Yep.
That has, one side of the wall is earth. Think of the
So
elementals
weird.
that could exist there, right? Because I think during one of the investigations we had, we were allegedly dealing with an elemental also in the space. Interesting
Yep,
stuff.
it
All
is.
right, let's go on here, and I'm glad that there was a little bit of a nod to the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest there, because until I saw that, I'd forgotten that it was indeed filmed in the or
Same.
scenes were
Yep.
filmed in that institution. Here we go.
Yep.
Number 5. Pittock Mansion,
But this is
Portland.
this is pretty popular
This
place for not
16,000
just
square foot home is
hauntings.
one of the most iconic landmarks in Portland. Originally, it was home to the Pittock family. After the death of Henry Pittock, the house was purchased by the city of Portland in 1964, when it was restored and opened to the public.
I didn't
Since
know
then,
that.
strange things have been reported. Photos of the family seem to move from place to place, particularly a boyhood photo of Henry, and the smell of roses often wafts through the home when none are present. Roses just so happen to be Georgiana Pittock's favorite flower. There have also been reports of heavy boot steps on the floor above when it is empty, and one guest even reported a kindly elderly woman standing next to her who vanished partway through a conversation. Despite the
That'd be
many
pretty fucked up.
strange and unsettling
was boring.
occurrences,
Yeah.
none of the
He goes
spirits
like, "Ah, this
suspected to
conversation
haunt the
sucks."
home are malevolent. Those who feel an unearthly presence claim it to be a happy one.
And see, I think that's kind of what you would. I mean, if there's all that is like intelligent haunting right there. It's like that is like definitely an interaction with people. The smells, the sounds, the things that are going on are
Right,
purposeful. It's
right.
like, hey, we're still here. We love this place. But what I kind of like about that is that it's not like nefarious. It's not like a scary thing.
Right.
Other than the grandma being kind of annoyed with somebody and like vanishing mid conversation, which would be like the most funniest thing I could ever see or even imagine. Like, oh, this bitch is like, whoever's talking to me is like really boring me. I'm gonna go away now. And yeah, and definitely the Picnic Mansion definitely has the kind of the classic look of a haunted house. If you just, I mean, just we saw some of the images there.
Right.
You know, I've been there before, not for like a long time. Probably since I was a kid that I've been to the Picnic Mansion, but I can see, you know, if there wasn't anything bad that happened in that place, why wouldn't you want to hang out there? Why wouldn't you want to stay there as a ghost? It's awesome. It's like an amazing house.
It's on a hill, or at least, you know, it's elevated in comparison to downtown Portland. And
Yep.
and I've been there only twice. Once, I think, just with family, and then another time with a group of coworkers. And honestly, I mean, both times, obviously, I'd known that that the place is supposedly haunted, but definitely to your point, I mean, it's something that's more of a hangout. I did not feel creeped out at all being there. I mean, even though it was an
Yeah.
old house and, you know, old
It
everything.
always feels bright. I remember it being like
a lot of
bright
windows,
place.
obviously. You know, there was a lot of
But
windows there, and yeah,
more like psychically kind of bright. I never felt afraid of that place.
Sure.
Like, you know, and I think that's kind of a cool thing. It's like if you want a haunting, you want it to be a happy haunting and not like now again, what's stopping them from going on to the next realm if there is one? I don't know, but maybe again, it's just kind of a cool place that I've never heard anything negative about ever in the years I've lived here.
Well, hopefully that does not change because we want people to come to. No, just kidding. We're not an advertisement for Portland. All right, we're going to continue here.
You mean an advertisement? Yeah.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Number 6. The White Eagle Saloon.
And now you know this place well.
I do.
You know this place well.
Originally built in 1905 by Polish immigrants, this popular tavern is well known
the
for
Coke
its
advertisement.
two
That's
haunts.
awesome.
Sam, an old housekeeper, and Rose, a prostitute who was supposedly killed at the hotel. Guests have reported seeing faces in windows, feeling cold hands touch them, feeling as though they cannot get out of
That's
bed,
not good.
and their items strangely moving around the room. Employees have even claimed to have been pushed down the stairs and to smell
Looks like a
smoke
lively
when the
bunch.
building is empty and free from any fire. Most interestingly, an employee by the name of Jeff stayed late one night and witnessed the menu board unhinge itself from the wall and fly across the room. He fancies himself a skeptic, but even he finds that hard to explain.
So my first question is his name spelled Jeff or Geoff? Is what type of Jeff?
What time of Jeff?
Are we dealing with here?
I think
no, but
I think it's a Jeff because only a Jeff would fess up to that. I think a Geoff would kind of like, nah, I'm already weird enough, you know.
Yeah. And it is a weird way of spelling. Let's just be honest with everybody. And that was a kind of a Toys R Us reference as well, because Geoff in Toys R Us was spelled that way. You got to be
that messed me up for a long time.
I know, right? You know, I've been to the White Eagle. You've played at the White Eagle as a musician, but I think you also did an investigation there before I joined your crew, right?
I certainly did.
Yeah. So tell us about that.
So the one of the alleged hauntings there is actually as a result of a triple murder suicide where, you know, a woman was
it's like a triple fucking a triple crown, or what do they call that in hockey? A triple
a hat trick.
A hat trick. Thank you.
No, but
and they're all wearing hats there.
they I'm sure they were wearing hats. But basically, a woman was there with her lover, and her husband came, saw them, obviously shot both the woman and her lover, and then shot himself. So, because obviously he couldn't live with the shame or whatever the reasoning is. But yeah, the team that I was with at the time, we did an investigation there. while the building was still open. So that is cardinal rule number one, or maybe number two, when you're doing an investigation. It has to be closed. It has to be a closed set, so to speak,
Yeah,
so
you
that you,
can't. Yeah,
yeah, so that you eliminate any kind of audio or video contamination or light contamination or whatnot. But it is what it is. We did not have the means to be able to close down the hotel to do a proper investigation. Needless to say, it was kind of interesting what we quote unquote found, but one particular scenario actually involved. Now I'm gonna have to. Somebody might have to fact check me. It's either room 3 or room 5, where
Hmm.
one of the claims is that when people would stay there, things would just would fall out inside the closet, like
And that's kind of what she was
clothes.
talking about there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
clothes that they've hung. Did she say it was room 5 or room 3?
I don't think she said the room. She just
Okay.
mentioned like things moving around and yeah,
Yeah, and in particular in that particular closet, that like the door would open and then things would fall down, so it would like indicate a intelligent haunting of sorts, right? So several of us took turns, sitting inside the closet just to see what if anything happens, and we would be the outside while the active investigator is the only one inside the room and inside the closet. So they while it was when it was my turn, and obviously lights were out, I could hear the music playing downstairs, because there was a live band playing.
yeah,
Again, it wasn't ideal. So for me, I mean, I still had my recorder on and I still had my K2 meter, and nothing was happening for like at least the first 20 minutes, etc. And then I started, and I think I shared this story with you already. I started what we call as taunting. So, verbally, I was telling whatever,
trying to
talking.
interact.
Clearly, I was
Yeah.
talking to myself, but I recorded myself talking to myself where I was asking, I was saying
Uh,
stuff like, I don't think this room is haunted at all. I don't think this hotel is haunted at all. I don't think you exist. I was saying if there's a ghost here, clearly you're
yeah,
not strong enough to do anything. And then
yeah. Bring it. Right.
so
Yeah.
I was doing all that, and then suddenly the doorknob of the closet, jiggled, and I'm like,
Shit. All
and
right.
so of course I was thinking, okay, it's probably one of the investigators, one of my fellow investigators, trying to pull a fast one on me. But I immediately opened the door. Not only was the room still dark, there was nobody else in there but me. Now, that was actually I think my first investigation with the group, and to be honest with you, I was freaked out. So as soon as
Hmm.
that happened, I freaking, you know, got up, turned on the lights, and invited the other investigators, and I told the story. But that was pretty, from my perspective, it was strange, it was unusual, and something's physical like that versus just a voice phenomenon or an
Right. You sort
apparition.
of hear it later. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
this was like in the moment, and of course I can correlate it right now to just the taunting that I was doing, maybe, but yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah. That kind of leads some credence to what some of what she was talking about there, about movements and noises and things of that nature. Obviously the ideal situation is to get into an area where there's no chance of contamination, of cross contamination of information and data. But that's pretty interesting. And it kind of adds to the lore of this location.
Yeah, hindsight being 2020, and knowing what I know now, what I should have done is obviously not freak out and actually just continued the taunting to see if the doorknob would jiggle again. But
I don't do taunting. I really don't. I don't, because to me that feels like it's like you're inviting something into your space that I really don't want to do. But I understand the strategy behind it.
yeah,
That's definitely not something that I would want to do.
I think some of the paranormal investigation groups that we've seen on TV, they've done some taunting in some episodes just to try to get a reaction, if any. But
I
I
think
agree with you.
it can work, but it's just not something I'm willing to do because I don't want to like have something attached to me. That's all I'm saying.
For sure. All right, we'll continue.
Number 7. Hot Lake Hotel,
I've never heard of
La
this place.
Grande. This building has a very complex history. Originally, the location had been used as a place of
fog?
healing by the natives before settlers took over the land and built a hotel on the grounds in the 1840s. Later on, in the 1920s,
You don't do that.
it was converted into a medical facility that later burnt down, and then it was converted into an insane asylum and a retirement home.
What? That's like
It
what?
stayed this
How
way
many?
until it fell derelict and was closed down temporarily. This is when the hauntings arose. A hotel now sits there, and there are many eerie reports. There are claims of piano music roaming the halls, despite there being no piano. A gardener hanged himself behind the building, and many
She finally did it right,
claim to
hang.
see strange figures around the gazebo. There have also been many car crashes nearby, and a creepy, heavy fog that rolls in with no warning. This is still a functioning hotel you can stay at today if you're the adventurous type.
Actually, that is, I definitely want to go there now. I have not heard of that before. This is the
Me
first time
neither.
hearing it. But that has like the trifecta of like an ancient burial ground.
Exactly.
And then it was like a medical facility. And then it was actually, it's even more than the trifecta. It's like a quadruple kind of thing. Because then it was a mental institution kind of thing. And then it was a hotel. So you have all that kind of shit happening on top of an area that, and I don't know why they call it Hot Lake and why all the fog kind of, I wonder if it's kind of volcanic around there.
So it's first of all, it's in La Grande, Oregon, which is about a 4-hour drive from Portland, and it is a hot Lake Springs.
Okay,
is the section.
So there is springs there then.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of water is another kind of conductor of kind of paranormal activity as well. So you have that place. I definitely I would love to investigate that place now. Like I would get the band back together just to do that place. That is awesome.
Or just maybe you and wifey go do a stay
over. No. I want to go there and be able to prove that. That sounds like a place that there's some shit going down. I would love to interview the staff there. That is I'm sure they've probably had plenty of people do that before.
Well,
and if there's any of the ones so far that it interests me, it's that place.
Oh yeah, for sure. And as you stated, it's kind of common in paranormal lore that, when things are built over ancient burial grounds, either knowingly or unknowingly, invites these kinds of paranormal experiences, right? And then again, like you said, it's been converted so many other times, and and each conversion kind of quote unquote stirs up the spirits, and it does not bode well. So yeah, it's one of those things that people have to consider. A, again, when you're in a historic location, then B, if you're trying to renovate, you're bound to stir something up.
Absolutely.
Number 8, the Oregon Institute of Technology, Klamath Falls.
Klamath?
The institute
okay, hold on.
was abandoned for unknown reasons.
Come on, lady.
Some speculate that it's related to the nearby hills, which many suspected were host to strange occult rituals. Visitors have found strange rock formations, oftentimes with animal bones in the center, occasionally still covered in blood. Shadow figures are often said to be seen lurking in hallways, and strange chanting and bangs can be heard echoing in the distance. Strangely, near the entrance of the campus, there are several 30 to 40-foot poles with giant tires hanging atop that no one knows who built or where they came from. This eerie spot is quite popular with urban photographers and explorers.
It's their version of basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that definitely does sound kind of. I mean, shadow figures are one of those things that I definitely have seen evidence for. You've seen evidence for it as well, right?
Yes.
That are unexplained. I don't doubt that at all. I don't know. Organization of Technology. I mean, it didn't seem like a place that there's going to have. I mean, maybe they had some people come there that shouldn't have been there, or some weird shit going on. But in general, we're talking about science and technology and those kind of things. I don't know anything about OIT. I've heard of it before. I don't know about the hill. The hills, the things that they're talking about, occult type things, generally kind of like invite the type. That's why, again, if you haven't heard this before, don't do Ouija boards. It's a very bad idea. Just don't invite kind of shit like that into your house. But I can see that kind of imbuing the area with that type of mentality, and I think that the shadow people, the shadow ghosts, or whatever you want to call them, entities, are pretty fucking scary. I don't want anything to do with that. So in this case, I probably wouldn't want to investigate that because I'd be afraid of something like that attaching, like kind of a passenger kind of situation.
Yeah, for sure. I want to speak to that in a second, but so this is in Klamath Falls, not Klamath, as the narrator.
She was close. She was so
close. She was close,
and she's doing a really good job with this, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is about a 5-hour drive from Portland. Yeah. And I think what could be happening here, Mac, is that again, this is a building in what otherwise would have been, like empty land.
Yeah.
So there could be some ancient burial ground stuff happening here, and then like you said, like when people are doing those stone circles and whatnot, it's just it just invites that kind of energy there. And yeah, it's definitely, it's interesting. I've never heard of this before, so this is new to me.
I haven't either.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
But the thing about like the attachment, because you've mentioned that twice now in this video, obviously if you're doing an investigation, and regardless of your belief, I think there is at least in the group that we were in, we had people there that believed in cleansing at the end of an investigation, where you recite a particular phrase that basically tells spirits, like, you don't attach yourself to me. You are not allowed to. Yeah. You are not allowed to get in the car with me. You're not allowed to go home with me. This is where you belong. This is where you stay. I'm just not that into you. Stay.
Yeah,
I'm just not into you. Like 10 things. Yeah. So basically, for people who might be interested in that kind of, paranormal investigations, that's the one thing that I'm glad I learned, because the one time, and I think I've told you this story, the one time that I did not do a cleansing, I think something did attach itself to me. So, as soon as I discerned it, I said, and I didn't know if it was going to be effective or not. I said, it looks like you came to my house. You are not allowed here. You need to leave right away. I mean, like forcefully.
You're not welcome. Yeah.
You're not welcomed. So anyway, just some tips for some people
Handy
who
advice.
might be interested. Exactly. Let's continue here.
Number 9. The Multnomah County Poor Farm.
I have never heard of this before.
In the 1900s, this was a place for the poor, sick, and homeless to live and work for their stay. Many people passed away here of natural causes. They didn't die in brutal or mistreated ways, but there was a general depression that loomed over the extremely tough lives of those who struggled to live through the time. In the 1990s, the land was purchased and turned into a hotel and brewery, in which guests have reported many strange things.
I didn't know this.
Room 215 in particular seems to be the most allegedly haunted, with many people leaving accounts in a booklet at the front desk. There have been claims of seeing a nurse walking the hallways, as well as shadowy apparitions, which leave a general negative feeling looming. One hotel guest even claimed to hear heavy moving about the rafters above their room, despite there being no access.
Honestly, maybe we did know this. I just forgot. I don't remember. I didn't know that Edgefield was. I never heard of it being haunted. There's some other places like Kennedy School and some other locations. I didn't know that this place was that before Edgefield. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And because you don't hear about Edgefield so much, at least I haven't anyway, about being haunted, to be honest.
So I have. I've heard that it was haunted.
Okay.
Yeah, and in fact, the team that I was on before you joined.
Oh, you did go there.
We did an investigation there, and
Nice.
the team lead actually stayed in room 215 that was noted on here. I stayed at, I think, at like 305 or 405 or something
That's
to that
awesome.
effect. And but I did not know that. I mean, like,
It
because
was a
like I said,
poor farm. What
I've
was the
never
kind
seen
of
this video.
terminology is that?
Exactly, I've never seen this video, so I didn't know that that was what it was. You know what it was before. And I got to tell you, I think I may have talked about this in the paranormal terminology video, but that was actually the hotel where I had cameras pointed at me while I slept, that night. Um, Honestly, if people didn't know what the hell we were doing, if they walked in, they'd think it was like a porn set or something. But but I
Right,
had
exactly.
but I had infrared cameras pointed at me, and there was one instance where I had the K2 meter on. So K2 meter, for those of you who are not familiar, it supposedly measures what is it? EMF,
EMF,
electromagnetic frequency
field. Yeah.
field,
Yeah.
and which is supposedly impacted by allegedly impacted by ghosts and spirits as they kind of steal energy from the air. But anyway, so I had my K2 meter on my bedside table, and at one point, and honestly, again, this is like when I was reviewing the footage, and that's the boring part of paranormal investigations is reviewing the footage. Just and people probably already know that. Anyways, when I was reviewing the footage, so the K2 meter started lighting up, and this was probably around, I don't know, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. K2 meter started lighting up. I was dead asleep, and the blanket was like pulled down a little bit on one of the edge. Now, so again, what I could not do to debunk it is whether I moved my feet. I don't know, but it did look like it moved by itself. So that's still something that I've yet to really fully accept as paranormal. But it was just, again, the correlation that I placed there is the K2 meter, acting
Yeah.
up, and all of a sudden that happening.
The correlation of some things happening is not necessarily proof of anything, but it definitely
Correct.
leads to some interesting results. And I think that sounds like one of those that would be on a show like Ghost Hunters, for instance. Like, hey, we have this happening, and because you were asleep, it wasn't like. And believe me, we didn't have any like resources to like fake anything. We just
No,
went
not at
straight
all.
in there to go do the shit that you do, and there is a lot of drudgery and a lot of nonsense that goes into ghost hunting, as it were, and is now probably. But yeah, hearing that and the kind of the history. I mean, what is a poor farm? Could you imagine sending? I mean, using that kind of terminology nowadays, like, we're gonna send you to the poor farm because you're homeless. I mean, it's almost kind of what we're, I mean, it seems like actually better than what we do nowadays. At least they had kind of a decent life there. But wow, that's
Listen,
that's really interesting.
on Wikipedia, it truly sounds like it's some place that they sent homeless people to.
Yeah, I mean, wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Here we go.
Number 10. The Shanghai Tunnels, Portland.
So this
In
is
the
one of those
early
places
days,
I'm not so
the
sure
city
about.
of Portland was a scary place. Countless men and women were tricked and drugged at bars by men known as crimps, and then taken through the tunnels below to awaiting boats where they would be taken in as slaves.
Human
They
trafficking,
were horribly abused, and many died in the tunnels in the small, dark rooms where they were kept before the boats even arrived. As one can imagine, the general feeling down in the tunnels is an incredibly negative one. People have reported hearing screams and cries echo through the dark, and even strange
Residual.
flickering lights, almost like a candle, off in the distant dark. Today, a portion of the tunnels have been opened for public tours, for those who dare.
I've never done the tour. Never really wanted to do the tour because I thought it was a bunch of BS. But after seeing the video there, I kind of almost want to go do it now just to sort of see what it looks like down there. It does look pretty fucking negative. I don't know if that was like a kind of a cute bunk bed going on or what that was a second ago, but Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea of human trafficking, and there are some other areas, maybe because it's unsafe structurally, or there's other factors behind it. I think it might be kind of a good thing to go check out. Definitely anybody coming to Portland to go check it out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's just because it's been so hyped up over the years. I don't know if I believe it, I guess.
I did go through it, go through the tour again with a previous team, and we went through the tour not to investigate. It was just a
Check it out.
fun thing to
Yeah.
check out, etc. And I think each tour, unless things have changed, was about 20 in size, so it wasn't huge. And I
Right.
appreciate that. In fact, I wish it would have been a smaller number of people, to be honest. But and yeah, it was very obviously it was very touristy. It was more about like this is what happened here, this is what they claimed, da 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 da. It was not so nothing obviously happened during the tour. It was just creepy, obviously being down there underground and kind of just imagining kind of the stuff that happened there. But Ghost Adventures, the TV show, did do an investigation there, if you recall.
No, I don't, but I know. I think they're like the douchebags of the ghost adventure world. I think, or the ghost hunting world. But yeah,
They
I mean, maybe they had something good. That must have been the early days, maybe.
I don't know if it was in the early days or whatnot, but they did, and it was one of those investigations where they invited a bunch of people to join them. So there was like, God, it looked like on TV like 30, 40 people were down there in the tunnels, and but they did get access to the areas that were not open to the
Oh,
tour,
that's interesting. Okay.
if I recall correctly. And the thing is though, again, I mean, this is the Ghost Adventures TV show, so I think they fabricated some of the stuff that they allegedly caught there and that people allegedly experienced. It was kind of like, oh my God, where's that music coming from? And you know that you can hide a Bluetooth speaker now, and even back then,
Yeah.
it was just I mean, it turned me off, to be honest, when I saw that episode, and because of the fact that I'd gone through the tour myself as well, and knowing kind of like, anybody could fabricate anything down there for the sake of enhancing the experience in the tour, or in the case of Ghost Hunters, I'm sorry, Ghost Adventures.
Yeah. You didn't want to confuse the two.
Yeah, I can't make that mistake.
I love
Uh,
the ghost hunters.
yeah, Ghost Adventures. They were doing it. I think they did it for again just for effect.
Yeah, and again, kind of at that time, they kind of came out a little bit after the ghost hunters, and I like when you're doing stuff to not over uh, dramatize kind of how you do it.
Right.
And so I think it's important that you stay even keeled, and you're like, oh, what was that? I heard something down the hall. Let's go run after. That's the kind of douchebag stuff that show would do. And the reason why I like the early ghost hunter stuff is I feel like it was real, and like we're trying to be honor. They're trying to honor the scientific side of things. And so I don't know. I've always felt that way about the Shanghai tunnels. I don't know. It's possible, but it'd be almost impossible, really, to try to find evidence because there's so many people down there nowadays, and it's
There
not something you
is,
can just get into.
and I remember I think we got in there via the pizza place downtown, the old Portland pizza. What the hell is it called? It's an old town.
Yeah, I know what. Yeah,
You know
I
what I'm
know what you're
talking about?
Yeah, I don't
So
remember the name of it, but
that was
yeah.
actually, I think it's one of two entrances, but that's where we started
Hmm.
the tour from. And that one right there, in fact, when we do a 2.0 of haunted places in Oregon, that pizza place is supposed to be haunted too.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying people, in fact, people should go check out the Shanghai tunnels and support all the local businesses around there. I think that's an important thing to do. I just don't know myself if I believe in any of the hype, I guess.
For sure. Would you have been tricked into getting too drunk and then all of a sudden getting human trafficked
No
back
one
then?
want to human traffic me. What value am I going to provide?
Fair
I'll,
enough.
I'll definitely drink all night, but if you want me to do something, yeah,
Fair
sorry.
enough. Fair enough. Well, folks, if you enjoyed this content, please give it a like and share it across your socials to get the word out about our show. If you hadn't already done so, please subscribe, and on YouTube, click that notification bell to make sure that you don't miss out on future uploads. Thanks for watching. See you next time.